we last left off, you had just left out of the northern gate of Heart's Faith, having received directions to the realm of Bahamut. The idea being that you would seek out Bahamut's palace, which acts as a kind of shortcut from the first layer of Mount Celestia up to the fourth layer, which is your destination.
Yep.
And you were joined by Yulana, a preteen girl who has designs on joining the Order of the Plains Militant, who are a league of knights that are charged with the protection of Mount Celestia in particular, although they do lead forays into other planes, especially in times of war. Whenever
they're not the plain militant.
Whenever some aspect of the blood war threatens the populace of Mount Celestia, the Plains Militant sends, in great numbers, forces to quell the fiend insurrection. Travel across Mount Celestia. I say across, it's mostly upward. The first layer is one gargantuan mountain that reaches up out of the ocean to the peak. And if you were not dirty, filthy cheaters, your goal would be to reach the peak of the first mountain, which would be the gate to the second layer of the mountain. And you would only be able to ascend the second layer if you were to perfect some aspect of personal virtue. So traveling up the mountain, it's very wearying because it's uphill all the way. And as you are traveling, each of you feels the pull of the plane. Serenity and Ciclon, you feel it the strongest. And this isn't a compulsion to act or behave in a certain way. It's a compulsion to refine virtue. So before we go any further, what we're going to do is each of you are going to select one aspect of your character's personality that you would deem to be an important virtue.
Each of us, or just that?
No, all five of you. Don't everybody talk at once.
Well, Mahogany is planning on moving on in the ciphers, and he's sure that a cipher always what he should be doing at any given moment. So he wants to work on his confidence.
Confidence? Okay. So as you're traveling, Mahogany, you feel it's not that you feel more confident, it's that you feel that you should become more confident, and you feel this compulsion to work on that aspect of your virtue. And this is the plane pulling you towards the peak of the first layer. The idea being that when you reach the peak of the first layer of Mount Celestia, having perfected the virtue of confidence, you would then enter the second layer and choose a new virtue to perfect.
Trying to think of how to word mine. I have it in my head.
I'm still thinking myself.
Yeah.
Well, wait, looking at the source real quick. I can't think of the word.
I hate that.
I'll just go ahead and say charity.
Charity? Okay. I mean, for ideas on the kind of things you should be looking at, I mean, look at, like, the 7, like the Ultima virtues are good examples. Like the Eightfold Path of Buddhism or whatever it's called would be good examples. And Riot, you don't feel the pull very, like, as strongly as your companions. I mean, you already consider yourself to be a pretty charitable person. But you feel that pull, that it's something you can work on during your time in Mount Celestia. This is the perfect place in the multiverse to hone that particular virtue.
Right, it's just like, I'm gonna do this plane's fucking charity.
I still can't think of a good word for it. Serenity wants to work on protecting her ability to protect her friends, or look out for them.
Like guardianship?
Oh, that's not a good word
That's
for
good
it, but I
enough.
can't the word.
Responsibility.
That works.
responsibility. That just
Yeah,
leaves...
especially toting this 13-year-old girl around. That works really well. Responsibility, I like that one.
Okay. That just leaves Kelian and El Ciclon.
Humility.
Humility.
Humility. Yeah.
And what about the masked man?
I'm thinking compassion.
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 Okay.
Because he's kind of had it for the longest time. He's had to kind of look for himself, and so he's starting to trust other people again, and that's kind of what's pulling him right now.
Okay.
I think you can grind that by buying Herb Beggar for 1 gold.
Very nice.
It's been so long since I played an Ultima game, man. McDohl and I watch a dude named Yogi on Twitch that plays old Ultima games sometimes. He speedruns them. They're good times.
Well, now I know what to nominate for next month's poll.
So just to kind of put forth the distinction here, this is not a compulsion to act or behave a certain way. This is not like when the Abyss was forcing Serenity to act in a murderous and vengeful way. The plane wants you to be this because you want to be this. If everybody understands that distinction. You travel for about 4 days, mostly uphill, following the path that will take you to the borders of the realm of Bahamut. And travel through Mount Celestia is very difficult. I mean, physically challenging. A lot of climbing. There's a lot of perilous rocky terrain, but there's a lot of beauty as well. A lot of forests, a lot of beautiful rivers. You have no want of anything as you move. Either the nature of the plane provides for you when it comes time to hunt, or you come across a small clutch of houses making up a tiny village filled with friendly families who are eager to share what they have. Notably, Yulana, as traveling, the entire time she's traveling, she does not once complain about exhaustion or injury. When you guys make camp after the day's travel, she's always eager to be put to work, to do what needs to be done to prepare the food. She insists on taking or sitting up with one of you as you take a watch over the course of the night. And when you are talking amongst yourselves, she's very attentive. She's very eager to listen to the experience of her elders.
Even Kelian?
Especially Kelian, because Kelian is an Aasimar.
Oh god. Oh god.
So Kelian's like, so I had her in the alley, right? And I just stabbed her over and over and over and over.
Don't be ridiculous. Kelian only has to people once.
He shoots them. Hello.
That said, it's a very cold journey. Mount Celestia does have seasons, and it's starting to set into winter, which means fierce, cold winds. Sometimes you have to take shelter from freezing rain or blowing sleet that blows in. Do any of you do anything in particular during the journey to Bahamut's realm? Anything that you want to have happen before you reach there?
Well, let's see. It seemed like as good a time as any, because I had to mention it sometime. But I should tell the others about the plan to go to that Prime World and talk to the Middle Bob Company.
So do you bring that up at camp
What's this
one night?
about?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so Riot mentions, hey guys, just in the spirit of letting everybody know what I on the side here. Taking a trip soon to did I get the name of that Prime World?
I don't know that I gave it a name. I don't remember if I did.
I'll just call it to the middle Bob Company's home plane. And I want to know if any of you are interested in coming along.
What for?
Sure, I'll come.
Seems like the patriarch, Bob himself, the elder, is having some doubts on whether or not to go in the game.
Why?
So you think we should convince him not to?
No, I
Yeah.
think we should convince him to stay and have an ally at least for a little while.
That seems fair.
I mean, if he's doubting to stay in the game, shouldn't we encourage him to get out of the game, where we have less competition?
At some point, that'll be the goal. But right now, when we're not directly opposed to each other, it seems like it could be good to share information, little things like that.
Besides, if we keep in the game, it seems like every time a team leaves the game, a new starts. It can only be more helpful to have more teams that we know about than teams that we don't in the game.
And on that thought, I had some theories about the company, the Thudla company, and I pointed this out to Riot, and I don't think they're nice to it, but I think they might have been it. Do you think they might be another one of the teams?
I thought about it, but it seems unlikely to me because of all of them, only Maddox had ever been to Sigil before.
I was thinking the same thing. It seems like most of the action in this game seems to be out in the plains. I wouldn't imagine a bunch of clueless being in on it.
On the other hand, how often do a bunch of clueless end up in Mount Celestia?
Mahogany has a point.
Yeah, could be. I still think it seems unlikely, but I'm not going to count it out.
The fact that it seems unlikely almost makes it more likely, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the deal. Heading to them soon after we get back home. If anyone wants to come along.
Sure.
I'd be down, provided I can at least honor the arrangement I made with a friend of mine in town.
Why wait? Maybe we can find a portal straight from here to there.
Well, we do have to get to the fourth layer first. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here,
Yeah. Mahogany, focus. One thing at a time.
So is the plan when you get back to Sigil to set up a meeting with the Middle Bobs in their homeland? That's been agreed to? Okay. And during all this talk of teams and the game, you can see that Yulana is extremely interested, but she does not ask questions. She does not ask for details that aren't offered.
I'm not going to tell her anything.
I say the
figure
less she knows, the better.
my assumption is she's going to meet Aunt Nancy before the session's out.
On the 5th day of travel, it's very, very calm day. The winds are very still. Takes some of the bite out of the air. And you're traveling along a road that curves along this high ridge overlooking a valley and a river below. And you break for your midday meal. And Yulana goes off to fetch some kindling for a fire. And she comes back.
For any of us to wander. Okay, never mind.
She comes back with a bundle of kindling in her arms and a very excited look on her face. And she squeals with glee and tells you, "Come see, come see." And then drops the kindling at her feet and starts running off in the direction of the brush.
Mahogany will follow her.
Yeah, okay.
I'll stay after her.
No, Serenity.
Sure.
Totally following her.
And she points down into the valley below where the river pulls up in this deep crystal pool of water. And you can barely make out 3 tiny shapes relaxing by the side of the pool. And Yulana's pointing at them, and she's smiling brightly. And she says, "Look, they're hollyphants."
They're what?
What now?
You can't tell what they are from here. They look tiny. Maybe a foot or two across. You can't make out their shape from this distance.
All right, I'll head over there.
Okay, so you're gonna climb down into the
I'm
ridge.
trying to get a better look. Yeah.
Serenity's gonna just turn to her and ask, "What? They're what now?"
And as Yulana responds, she's starting to climb down the cliff after Mahogany. As she says, Haliphants. Says it's known that if you brush their golden fur, they bestow blessings upon pilgrims.
Do they like it?
Who else is climbing down after Mahogany and Yulana?
Serenity will. Serenity's gonna stay with the girl mostly.
I'm staying here.
Kelian's staying on top of the cliff.
Okay,
Not a
I'll
pilgrim.
stay with 3 of them.
Kelian gets out his crossbow. Haliphants, huh? These sound like bad news. I better...
I was thinking it, but I didn't act.
Remember, it's right and Kelian staying behind. That's, remember everyone...
Good scene. It's a good scene.
Yeah. No. Elsie Ciclon is staying with them this time.
Okay. So, Mahogany and Serenity take Yulana down to the pool. And as you get closer, these things are very small. They're about Edgar-sized. And they look like tiny winged elephants with golden fur covering their bodies. And they're just dozing off by the side of the water. And you get within maybe 20 or 30 feet of them before Yulana stops you and turns and asks if either of you speak Haliphant.
I do.
Are they
And
animals?
we'll find out. And I'm gonna cast Speak with the Animals.
Okay. That's your fail chance.
Worst comes to worst, I'll talk with
Yep.
the plants they're eating. No, that's fine. I have plenty of Speak with Animals is low level.
So,
Wow.
It's fine.
I mean, I can cast as a ritual.
Shut up.
someone doesn't want you to speak with these Haliphants.
Seriously, holy shit. Did you just burn
Serenity's
all
just
of
gonna put her
your
hand
spells?
on Mahogany's shoulder
I'm passing it.
and say, "Just give me a few minutes."
I
And
can
she's
do
going to
this.
kind of sit down meditatively,
you only have 4
cross-legged,
slots.
I can burn.
closing her eyes. Casting the spell's a ritual. It'll take 10 minutes.
This cannot be good for Mahogany's confidence. The plane is testing you, Mahogany.
The plane just wants me to keep trying.
So was that all your slots?
No, not yet. I'm gonna start burning 3rd level slots.
All right.
Actually,
Wow.
no.
Does it-
I still have 2nd level. I still have 1 more.
Does he not get a bonus to see if it succeeds when it's a higher level slot?
No.
Or is it just a
It's a
flat
flat
check?
chance.
I-
Flat spell fail
Sorry,
chance.
Nodal, I tried.
Wait, actually, let me check something real quick. I might actually be out of slots.
It looked like it to me.
Yeah.
So, Mahogany spends a few minutes attempting to cast a spell, and Mount Celestia just drinks deeply of all of your magical energies.
Oh no, I'm not out. Those are level 1s. I was making sure it wasn't a level 2 spell. Yeah, I
Oh.
still got 1 more level 2.
And Serenity is sitting here casting the spell as a ritual, meanwhile.
Okay.
It's a waste of time. Still got level 3s. Still got 1 more.
So, here's your weekly reminder that all you have to do is mouse over the die and press R once, and it rolls it for you. Just saying.
Is ritual 1 minute or 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Okay.
So, was that your very last spell slot?
Yeah, it was.
And you cast
Dude, the
Speak with
plane
Animals.
wanted to test me, and I managed to accomplish it because I believed in myself.
Giving him
And then-
burning your spell slots.
Shut up.
What are the components for that spell?
Well, let's find out. Normally I use my staff.
Well, I mean,
I
does it have
probably have a
verbal
bunch
or
of garbage
somatic
on me.
components?
Oh, I'm assuming verbal because it's verbal and somatic.
Okay, so the
No
whole
material.
as you spend several minutes babbling out magic words and doing crazy looking movements with your hands, Yulana is fascinated. Just utterly fixated on what you're doing. And finally you get the spell to come off and cast Speak with Animals.
Here's where we find out they're not bees. And I'm going to call out to the... What were the...
Hollyphants.
The Hollyphants. And I'm going to say hello.
You call out to them, and from where they're dozing off on the bank of this small pool, they poke their head up, lift their trunks high into the air, and they bleat in response. And then one of them calls back in common, says, "Hail, travelers!" And they buzz up on their wings into the air.
Hello there.
You're such a troll, Brick. Oh my god.
Everybody mark off Brick Trolls for Nodal. Bingo card.
That was the OG trolling Nodal though.
Well, that was with an assist from Nodal's dice. Now, come on.
That was, I think that was Nodal trolling himself.
Yeah.
Yes,
Brick, you gotta blip that.
One of the Hollyphants calls out in common, "Hail, travelers!" And Yulana begins skipping down towards them.
The rest of us up on the hill, Matt?
Yeah, Serenity's gonna follow.
No, they're not being loud enough for you guys up on the ridge to hear.
Okay.
I'll head down there.
Are you just crying, Mahogany? Are you just dead inside?
Mahogany's honestly probably laughing. Because this is exactly what he got into adventuring for.
And by the time the three of you get down to the pool, the Hollyphants are buzzing around. Not really buzzing. They don't have insect wings. They have feathery wings. And their body covered in this golden yellow fur. And they're very curious. And very inquisitive.
I don't suppose any of you speak a beast language, do you? So that I can feel like I haven't wasted the last minute.
What's really great is for the combat that I have planned here. Now Nodal doesn't have any spells.
It'll make me feel a lot better, Hollyphants.
And after inquiring, they do allow Yulana to step forward and brush some of their fur. And she seems to be quite delighted at this.
Oh, I'm hella doing it if they're frank.
The superstition is that the superstition is that brushing a Hollyphant's fur bestows blessings upon pilgrims traveling up the mountain.
If they want, they can brush back.
And one of them does.
Brush one of them if...
using
It
his
might
trunk.
bestow blessings on people heading to Sigil.
They're not heading to Sigil, though. They are currently in service to a power named Briaspati, who is known as the Teacher of Gods. They are bearing tomes to various libraries and monasteries throughout the lower levels of Mount Celestia. Each of the Hollyphants has memorized one of the tomes and is going to recite it so that the monks may make transcriptions.
What are the names of the tome?
The first one is bearing the 16 Trials of Pius Leonardus. The second is bearing an Encyclopedia of Celestial Flora, Volume 37. And the third is bearing the Tenets of the Eightfold Path, a perspective of a fallen monk.
I ask them if that herb that I picked back in the tower falls under Volume 7, or if that's like a Volume 34 sort of thing.
All he knows is that it's not in Volume 37, because that's the one he has memorized. But he knows
Well, good
of...
news, you learn something new every...
He knows of the kelp that you're speaking of, because they have good ties with the Zoveri in the Silver Sea.
Yeah, the Zoveri seemed great.
And they don't have much of anything with them, but they do share what they have, which is the crystal clear water of the pool and these succulent-looking golden fruits that
I'd
they've
offer to
gathered
give
together.
them some good berries, but I'm fresh out.
But they do. They offer you a whole bushel full of these golden fruits that they've gathered for their breakfasts.
How are they? I'll have one.
So you just eat one right there, and its taste has a very sweet flavor to it. It's like a very kind of soft pear. You can eat the rind and all. Very large seeds, easy to avoid.
Nice.
Yulana takes one, and the juice is all over her face and hands as she devours it. Do you take the whole basket or just the one fruit?
What are they offering?
They have a basket full of maybe 8 or 10 of these.
All right, well, if we each have one, that's half, and that seems fair.
Okay.
Seren's just going to take one.
Just take one.
Yep.
Yulana then, instead of taking the whole basket, she makes sure just to grab 3, one for each of your companions on the ridge, and puts them carefully into her pack. And with that, the family of Hollyphants bids farewell and begins to fly down the river, waving their trunks at you goodbye.
Mount Celestia's not so bad.
And the 3 of you make your way back to the ridge and climb up. And Yulana shares the 3 fruits that she brought with the 3 of you who stayed behind.
I'll accept and say thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Bite into it.
Okay. And it's delicious. Has a very, very sweet, tangy flavor to it.
Kelian will play
doesn't-
along.
It's not like acid in my mouth, right?
No, it's not.
It's pretty delicious.
Okay.
The fruit's not burning the cat outside of us.
And you continue your journey up along the ridge. Everybody who ate a fruit needs to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh no!
Oh, Yulana actually passed. My goodness.
There goes the die. I didn't throw it off the table, but there it goes.
You know you can just mouse over it and...
I know,
Okay.
accidentally because I was
Yeah.
carrying it myself.
I rolled great, Brick Road. So good.
I got a 19.
Okay.
What
I
do we
got
need
a
to hit?
23.
23?
Got an
Okay.
18.
12.
10.
10. Riot and Kelian. The 2 of you spend the next 48 hours burping uncontrollably.
Sorry, he's burping.
Burping uncontrollably. And Yulana thinks this is hilarious. And only then does she
Mahogany
reveal
also thinks this is
that
funny.
Kelsey
Hollyphants,
looks amused.
in addition to being servants of the gods of the upper planes, are also known to be renowned tricksters. So I expect you to
Druid
roleplay
burps.
that burping
Now-
as much as possible.
Kelian
If they're
burps
such
in
tricksters,
response
why
and
did they give
blows
us
the-
such delicious fruit?
I'm not going to turn the session to Rick and Morty. So now I wish I'd met him.
Kelian burps and blows his breath in Yulana's face.
They were watching
in
me the whole
response.
time I was casting that spell, weren't they?
Yeah, no, we were watching. We were up there.
Oh, it
Laughing
means they're
our asses
elephants.
You don't even know how to cat magic.
Hey. No, I do.
Yeah, he has that
Ah,
one spell.
one spell.
It's a good one, though.
I knew how to cast one spell the first time I met my god.
Are you saying that I...
Unfortunately, that is the last peaceful day of travel that you all have. Because at that point, your road goes up a very steep, rocky ridge. You leave the greenery of the plain behind, the lowlands of the plain behind you. And it begins snowing very, very strongly.
Alright, how many days was the last one?
So that's my question, is do you all press on into the snowstorm, or are you going to wait it out somewhere?
I probably would have waited it out before it began, so I've been casting Druidcraft to check the weather.
Well, how long is the snowstorm going to last according to Druid?
Well, I know what it's going to be like for the next day.
Okay.
So is it going to end within the next day, Brick?
Let me see. This is the first I've ever heard of Druidcraft, so I have to look it up.
So, like, you know, like, when you're watching the weather and, like, the little suns and so on appear on each day? That's literally what the spell does. If it's snowing, a little cloud will appear and snow will come from it.
It looks like it's going to snow pretty hard the entire next day.
Alright, so yeah, I'm going to recommend we stay in shelter.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
What kind of shelter do you look for?
Yeah.
Serenity will do her best to tend to the fire. I'll offer to go out and scrounge up wood as long as we're hunkered down.
Wait,
What?
let me roll some d10s to find out how many times I have to cast Druidcraft.
Well, that's my question, is where do you hunker down at?
Oh, it comes out first time. You know?
Can I make a survival check, see if there's anything near the foot of the mountain that would shelter from the storm?
I wouldn't be required to make a check. I mean, if you're looking for a cave in the side of the ridge, you'd be able to find one. I just want to know that that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, the most important thing is
Yeah.
shelter, because when it comes to food, I like that for us.
Okay. So you spend the next day holed up in this frozen cave. Is there anybody in the group that's not dressed warmly?
Ciclon would have thrown
Riot.
his jacket, his coat back on from Pandemonium.
Okay.
Yeah, Riot didn't bring any warm clothes.
So Serenity has salvaged the armor she was given. She doesn't actually wear armor, is just wearing the undercoat of it and that mismatched cloak from the solutions bag.
Okay.
So she's wrapped herself with the point, and there remains the actual armor, just sort of tearing them apart.
And after Riot looks like she's having problems, then I would pass my coat to her.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so who's left without protection from the cold then? Ciclon? Is that it? Because Yulana has the heavy cloak you all bought for her at the temple.
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
And-
she has a half-fling travel gear.
Though she clutches it very tightly and shivers a great deal, she does not, again, not once complain about the cold the whole time. Ciclon,
Hey,
you'll be making strength, dexterity, and constitution checks at disadvantage.
strength and dexterity, you said?
And constitution.
All right.
Because this is it's biting cold. And eventually, the snowstorm subsides after a full day in this cave.
How cold is it? Is it so cold that I'm worried they like get ill?
How cold is
Because
it?
Yeah, because I can take 2/3 on, 1/3 off hour rests. As long as I get a short rest every 2 hours, I can spend 2 hours as a bear and keep McDohl warm.
I mean, you can cuddle up with McDohl if you want. I mean,
I can keep him warm with my giant bear body.
I already said what the cold is affecting and what it's doing. You being a bear is not going
Yeah.
to give him those checks back.
It's okay. It'll make me feel really good myself, though.
So after the day in the cave, you can stop burping now. The day's over.
Okay. All right, cool.
The storm
God.
stops, the winds die down, and you're left with a narrow, mountainous path going up this ridge. The pass, in the instructions you were given, is called the Pass of Gileath. And the Pass of Gileath opens up into lowlands on the other side, into a valley, which is the entrance to Bahamut's realm. That is his outer border on the first layer of Mount Celestia. But this would be the most perilous leg of the journey.
Okay.
What is the marching order? Go ahead and set yourself up. This is the head of the party here. Line yourself up to the left of that. And I will spawn in a chit for Yulana.
I'll probably stick near the front because I've got really good perception.
So put her wherever you want her.
And bringing up the caboose.
Make me a single file line.
Oh, a single file.
Then I will stay at the front then.
Serenity will be second.
I'm trying to figure out how this. Are we going right to left,
yeah.
up,
Yeah,
up to down?
It's right to left.
Okay.
Okay, Kelian in the back so he can watch the 13-year-old girl's ass the whole time. Gotcha.
God damn it.
You reach the point, Mahogany, where the stone of the pass becomes too narrow for you to maneuver in as a bear. You would not be able to keep your footing as a large creature.
Okay, just to be clear, I'm not a moment.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at.
I can never tell with you. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, if I transform into a bear, I'll fall.
You probably wouldn't fall immediately, but it would be very difficult to keep your footing. It would be slow going, and you would run the risk of falling if you step on a loose stone or a patch of ice or something like that. Did anybody bring any climbing gear?
Nope.
Let me look my
Nope.
pack real quick. I don't think so.
Mahogany ought to be a giant goat, which is a real thing.
I
PHB.
think Rowan would confiscate.
I specifically saw a goat, so I could do that.
And as you begin filing up this narrow pass, I mean, it's a worked road. I mean, this road was built into the side of the mountain, presumably by dwarves. But looking ahead, as you see it rounding this ridge, a couple thousand feet ahead of you, you see where it's partially crumbled and fallen. But you also see scaffolding along the side, and a tunnel being bored into the side of the mountain. And as you get closer to this point, off to the side, there is a part where your road opens up a considerable amount, large enough for someone to have built a small wooden shack right here on the side of the mountain. I mean, it's just caked with layers and layers of snow, groaning under the weight. But the wood looks sturdy as you approach.
Nice.
Okay.
And notably,
Who do you think would be
there is
crazy enough to live here?
an iron chimney coming out of the top of it.
There's smoke coming out of it.
No, there's not.
Who would be crazy enough to live here?
Oh, don't ask questions like that. I thought you were a bard.
I don't know, but I could really just get inside right now.
Let's get you warm. It can't be so bad. It's Mount Slayer, right?
I don't know. It's pretty bad.
They can be pretty bad on that Celestia.
You guys met good aligned people in Pandemonium.
Remember, the first things we saw here when we got here were just a bunch of Yanti assholes.
That is true.
Maybe we'll meet nice Yanti this time.
All
I
right,
mean,
but
that
I'm-
other snake lady was nice.
But I'm
I mean,
not going
this
to be
is-
the one opening the door.
This is a residence, so someone has to live here. If someone does live here, And
You're
Kelian
right.
was-
This is a
Kelian,
home.
Kelian
Mahogany
was no
will
time
knock.
opening the door. No, fuck the knocking. Kelian opens the door.
So Kelian steps in front of Mahogany and doesn't even think. He just turns the, and to your surprise, it's not locked, and it swings inward into this little tiny shack. In the center of the room is a table with 3 sitting chairs around it. In the back are 4 bedrolls laid up against the back wall. To your right, as you come in, is an iron stove, and piled up next to it is a copious amounts of firewood.
It all looks fresh. There's no like air, like dust anywhere or anything. It looks like the people have taken up residence here and do live here.
It very recently, in fact, and off to your left or off to your right when you come in are shelves filled with provisions. You see stacks of furs, ropes, harnesses, climbing pittons. You see food, salted jerky, hardtack bread, the kind of things that don't spoil, trail rations, and a box that just has a mark on it, a painted mark that looks like an open flame.
That was more for the sake of the party than Kelian, because Kelian wastes no time going to start a fire.
Okay, so you go in and start loading logs up into this wooden stove, or into this iron stove?
Yeah.
Very good.
Right, just cause that. Hello? Anyone here?
Right, no need to call out. As soon as Kelian opens the door, you can see this little one-room shack is empty. There's nobody here.
Oh,
I'll light the locks.
that's weird. And a little creepy.
No, this is Mount Celestia. It's par for the course.
And in fact, you even see an iron plate along the shelf where all of these provisions are stacked. and it's engraved in 3 languages, including Common, that reads, "Weary travelers, accept these gifts in good faith." And it's signed Groido the Sixth Hammer, and it has the sigil of the Plains Militant on it.
Oh.
And Riot turns to Kelian and says, "Well, there you go. He said we can accept these in good faith."
Yeah, saw that coming a mile away.
And within
How many are you
minutes,
gonna take?
the stove warms up this little one-room shack.
Ciclon crowds around by that stove and just starts to rub the feeling back into his arms.
And there are heavy furs on these shelves. Does Ciclon take any?
Oh yeah, he'll throw over his shoulders.
Okay. And yeah, within minutes, you make a cramped but cozy little abode here in this wooden shack clinging to the side of the mountain.
Nice.
And what's next?
So do we break here and sit
Yeah,
out
what
in
time
the
of day
morning?
is it?
Difficult to tell, but you've been marching all day at this point. This is after the hard
Okay.
day's march along this narrow, rocky ridge.
Yeah, let's break for tonight and start out tomorrow morning then.
While we're here, since we have a little bit of downtime, I'm going to open up this scroll case I got from the Tower of Fire and find out what's in it.
Of course you are, because now I gotta open up the goddamn notes from the Tower of Fire from 6
I'll be right
friggin'
back
weeks
for that.
ago. Give me 1 second, and I will tell you what's inside.
Sure.
We don't have any wizards in the party anymore.
Wizards are dumb.
Won't be able to recognize that stuff.
To be fair, we never really had a wizard party.
We had what's her
Interestingly,
name look at stuff.
Wizards of the Coast just released some of their polling data from D&D, and apparently the 4 most popular classes are the 4 original classes. Those are the ones that get played the most.
Good.
Which I wouldn't accept. I would not have expected that. I would have expected friggin' paladins and rangers and shit.
So that's what Fighter, Rogue, Wizard.
And cleric.
Or fighter
And
rogue
cleric.
wizard.
Yeah. Those are the 4 most popular classes.
What about thief and acrobat?
Those are both rogues. Alright, I'm going to find out what this scroll does. Right, you took this out of the Fletchery in the Tower of Fire.
Yeah.
Looking at it, they look like schematics for making magical arrows. There's 6 different formulas in here, and they're very, very difficult to understand, but you, Riot, specifically, you think you might be able to follow these schematics.
Huh. I'll show them to Mahogany and says this might be a good project for you when we get back.
And Mahogany, you look at these schematics, and they are beyond your comprehension. You can't. I mean,
And
you can make the arrows.
I have no idea what I'm looking at here.
That's what you could do with this. Is you could make the arrow shafts. Riot, it's
I can cut you
because
sticks.
Riot is an arcane spellcaster. You might be able to craft these arrows with very, very good Arcana checks.
Okay.
But they seem to be arrows patterned after the various para-elemental planes. So these are magical arrows that, if crafted properly, will add different types of damage to the arrowhead.
All right.
Notably,
Maybe
these
I'll
are
help you out with that once I transform into an elemental.
notably these are arrows, not crossbow bolts.
Okay.
Bummer.
Good to know.
I also have a note that in the Fletchery there were a wall filled with filled quivers, except for one hook because Banyan has taken it. All right.
Project Crossbow World too.
I'm going to add those schematics to the magic item list then.
Yeah, I've got them on my sheet.
Are the schematics themselves magical?
No, but they're used to craft magical items, so...
Okay. I was just wondering if maybe they're both. I don't.
and then I'll fill in the rest of that a little later. So, Riot, I mean, you spend the entire rest trying to ponder over these things, and it's like... It's kind of like flipping through a calculus book right after you passed Algebra 2. Like, you some of the symbols look familiar, and maybe, but it's not something you're going to be able to do here, clinging to the edge of Mount Celestia. This would be downtime actions requiring successive Arcana checks to figure them all out. If you were a wizard, I would just give them to you for free, but you're not, so...
Right.
So when she crafts these, is she going to song about fire to them?
Is she going to what?
Sing a song about fire to them?
Well, that's exactly why she's having difficulty understanding them, because these are arcane formula, whereas her magic, while it's arcane in nature, comes from her music, comes from her song. There's no artistry or poetry or beauty in these schematics. These are just the raw magical formula. It's source code that's not annotated.
Yeah.
So you guys enjoy your long rests in this little shack. And the next day...
Here, let me get a D4 real quick. I get some beats to recharge here.
Some B-ads.
Yeah, my displacer beats. Nope.
Some B-dubs.
B-dubs. That sounds good. I should text
B-dub.
Peanut, be like, yo, B-dubs, how about that? So the next day, setting out, again, this narrow path, you see where the path ahead is collapsed down into the ravine that just drops away into the mists below you. And you begin seeing evidence of workmanship. Someone is working on widening the path by boring into the side of the mountain. But there's no evidence that the team is going to work during the winter. This being the off-season, there's nobody up here doing any work. And then, I need everybody, I will let you choose. Well, first of all, what did you guys take from the shack? Ciclon took some furs.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We took extra first just in case, right?
Okay.
If not, Kelian does.
I don't know, take your week.
Yeah, Kelian will take extra first just in case.
You guys wake up and the shelf is empty, and Kelian's got everything stuffed down his pants.
What? No.
Do you take any of the food? And do you open the box with the fire on it?
I mean, I'll open the box. I'm
yeah,
curious.
Kelian will open the box.
Okay. Inside the box, you find these small rods that look like they're made of charcoal. When you touch them, your finger comes away with a little bit of black residue. But they're kind of heavy and chalky. And there's some 20 or 30 of them stacked up in this box.
I'll show them to Serenity, and I'll say, Serenity, does this look like something for making fire?
And
You know survival, right?
Serenity, you have no idea what these are. You've never seen their like before.
Okay.
Ciclon have an idea?
No.
Drug.
So what else is taken from the shelves? Does anybody take any of these sticks?
No, I'll take one because I'm curious.
Okay.
I'll take some of the climbing gear.
Okay.
So what do they got? They've just got like pittons and things.
Pittons, lengths of rope, climbing harnesses. Looks like they have what you would need to tie a group of people together in a chain to save anybody from falling.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take some rope and 2 pittons, because I don't have any.
I don't think any of us have pythons.
Well, I don't.
I think some of us have rope, but I don't.
I might have had rope at one point. I'm pretty sure after that jailbreak.
I like the idea of us tethering ourselves to each other. That way, someone does fall. Pull the rest of everyone else down.
Mahogany falls, turns into a bear, brings everyone over.
Exactly.
Okay. So, is that the plan then? To use these ropes and harnesses? Excuse me.
Let's use them when we need to. It doesn't look like the climbing's that tough yet.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I'll give everybody 5 seconds to decide whether you want to make a strength saving throw or a dex saving throw.
Dex.
Strength.
Dex.
Dex.
Roll it. Everybody roll it.
Do I? Am I still at disadvantage with those?
No, because you put on heavy furs.
Okay, good. All right, just making sure.
The cold is no longer cutting into your bone. Bone.
Hey.
I got a 13.
14 for Serenity.
18 for Kelian.
16.
And what did
10.
Ciclon get? 10?
Yep.
You get halfway through this very narrow, semi-collapsed ridge. To the point where going forward and going back would take about the same amount of time. And who's got the highest passive perception? Is that Mahogany?
That's Mahogany.
I think so, yeah.
You're the first to notice, then. You start hearing a low rumbling above you. And looking up, this huge sheet of white snow, you start seeing it crack off and start to fall down towards you. And within a split second, you all have to decide what you're going to do about this avalanche. So who elected to make dexterity checks? Or dexterity saves?
I did.
Right.
I did.
Right. Did.
Okay. So Riot, Kelian, and Mahogany?
Yeah.
Do I have time to grab Yolana's hand?
Yeah, you do, if you want. You're standing next to her, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. That's
Okay.
my place in marching order.
That's fine. So, Serenity, you and Ciclon made strength checks?
Yes.
Okay. And who failed?
Well,
I don't know what the
depends
DC
on
was.
It was a DC.
DC is... Who's using climbing gear?
Only
Nobody
any
was
of us
using it?
were.
Then DC is 20.
Oh.
That,
wow.
we
So
all
we
I
all
think
failed.
all of us
Yeah, we
failed.
all failed.
Riot, the last thing you remember is spinning around and grabbing Yolana's hand, and what she's trying to jump back and cling to the rock, and all of you have a split second of motion before this snow just tears down the mountain and buries all of you. TPK on Mount Celestia. Good night.
Yay! That was a good game. All right. So I'm thinking Aarakocra Ranger is the next character.
Right.
Hold on.
5 Aarakocra, that way dance.
Right,
And
summon
create a wind
an
elemental.
I like it. Let's do it.
Because they made very clear that Monster Manual trusts anything else.
I am literally rolling all of my d10s. Give me 1 second to add all these up. I could use an automatic dice roller, but that wouldn't be any fun. Nobody would respect me if I did that.
I'd
I
respect you.
I wouldn't respect Nodal for respecting you.
You don't respect me anyway.
Alright. Everybody, including
Silence of
Yolana,
polite non-disagreement.
takes 78 bludgeoning damage
Well,
AED
from
dead.
this
I think we're all
avalanche of
dead.
snow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I'm
takes
dead.
out Serenity.
Is anybody not at 0 HP after that?
Don't you die if you take double your HP?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm dead.
yeah.
AED dead.
Is anybody not dead?
Yay!
I'm alive.
Serenity's alive.
Okay. Which of you has the higher constitution score?
My constitution is 17.
18.
And I have +6 saving throw trained.
And as for your saving
So
throw.
his is still 18.
Serenity.
Yeah.
The last thing you remember, I really didn't think, I'm going to give the party all this free climbing gear. There's no way they're not going to use it. The best laid plans. Serenity, the last thing you remember is this snow scraping down the side of the mountain and you thinking there's no way to escape this. There's nothing, I mean, you've been in the wilderness, you've trekked through mountains with caravans and whatnot. This is not the kind of thing, the literal definition of act of God. And then just blackness. You felt this extreme pain as your limbs were bent away from you with this giant weight of snow pushing down, and then blackness. You have no idea how long you were out, and you're only conscious of your face kind of half poking up out of the snow, and a glowing warmth floating just next to you. And as your vision comes into focus, you recognize it as a lantern archon. The small balls of light that you can actually see on this little map here. They're these... It might be sea foam, but I chose to believe that these are lantern archons on the lower levels of Mount Celestia. Bobbing next to you. And it flickers brightly through a variety of colors. And looking around, you see several more of these lantern archons twirling around in the snow. And Mahogany, after a few moments, you have the same experience, except you have to reach up and dig yourself out of the snow first. And I mean, both of you feel bruised and battered. You feel where your limbs were bent the wrong way, where you felt something sharp in your back, and you've got splitting headaches, but you're both alive, more or less.
Alright, I'm going to transform into a large bear.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to dig through the snowdrift for my companions.
Hey, what is Serenity doing?
Serenity is doing her best to pull herself free, and yeah, also looking for other people.
Okay.
Media.
And neither of you, even in your bear form, Mahogany, neither of you can work at this for very long before the exhaustion starts to set in, and your muscles just start to ache really badly. And what's your response to being physically unable to continue?
I am going to... do I have any idea, like, how far away from me was Serenity?
You were standing in the lead, and Serenity was right behind you.
No, when we came conscious.
You were very
very
close together.
Alright, then I'm pretty sure that everyone around me is still there.
Okay.
So as a second level spell, I'm going to destroy snow.
Okay, roll it. Roll your fail.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's not the right. Let's roll a d20. God damn. That's fine. I can, probably the easier way to do this is easier anyway than using my racial, because I can actually use my actual spells.
I mean, Serenity is simply digging through the snow with everything she's got.
Okay. And like I said, the exhaustion starts to set in and your muscles begin to burn, but you realize that the two of you have only fallen maybe 100 or 200 feet. You can look up and see the ridge above you, and then below you, you still have a several thousand foot drop to go. You two landed on this outcropping. Nearby, you see motion as you see small amounts of snow tumbling over and falling off, and you realize that this avalanche has scraped this steep slope of the cliff, and looking down, maybe 1,000 feet below you in the ravine, you see through the mists several more points of light, what you take to be lantern archons.
Are there any lantern archons right near us?
There are. There was one hovering right near Serenity, one hovering right near you when you came to, and there's several more in your vicinity.
I'm going to shape water to like move the snow out of the way near the lantern archons that are hovering in our vicinity, because I'm assuming that if one's standing near me and one's standing near Serenity, there might be one near the other members of our party.
Okay, is that a spell?
Yeah, it's a cantrip, so I can cast it as many times as I need to.
I know, but I want to see how many tries it takes you, given your luck today.
First time.
Okay, so you start using shape water to move the snow around, and
yeah,
how much physical
and
water
probably
does
to
that
get our
move?
strength a little bit. not all that much. I'm also going to cast a good berry just to get me and Serenity some HP back.
Okay.
Do I already
Maybe a
have
little strength.
Do I already have good berries?
I have
'Cause I was
two.
planning to eat
That's
one.
not enough
Yeah, I was going to eat
to-
one of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
You both came to at 1 hit point, so whatever healing you take.
Yeah. So let me burn a couple of those so I can give us each 20. Yeah. So we each have 20. So whatever.
See, after using Serenity's muscle and Mahogany's Genasi ability, moving snow, you don't find anybody else buried on this small outcropping with you. And some of the Lantern Archons, noticing what you're doing, begin swarming in the direction of this steep slope that climbs down the 1,000 feet into the ravine.
Oh,
How steep is it?
How steep?
Yep.
You wouldn't need climbing gear to climb down. It wouldn't be like you're going hand over feet, but it would be... You'd have to be very careful with your footing, because it's very treacherous.
I have a way better idea. Moving stuff with shape water. I can change water's opacity, so I can just make all the snow clear and look through it to see if there's someone buried underneath it.
You can change water's opacity, not snow's.
Isn't snow just water?
No, snow is a different form of water. It is not water.
That means Serenity is immediately going to start climbing down the cliff towards the greatest concentration of Lantern Archons.
Okay, and several of the lanterns that are here begin following you down. So, Mahogany, you see Serenity begin descending this stairway down.
Yeah, I'll come with her.
Kelian, you have a wonderful dream. You have a dream of yourself working in the offices of the Hall of Records, and you're very content with yourself. And it's because you live the embodiment of humility. It's something that you've perfected over years, and it's something you brought back to Sigil with you. And you use it in your approach to everyday life and all of your business dealings. The way you come across to people inspires them in a way. Because you shed all auspices of thinking so highly of yourself, because you don't hold yourself in that selfish regard any longer, it allows people to relate to you in a way that they don't relate to other takers. And it has brought you great prosperity. And so in this dream, this version of yourself, you're content with what you have. And the multiverse has paid you back in wealth 10 times over that which you have lost. Elsie Clone, you have a very similar dream. Although in yours, you see yourself contentedly working at Father Mondo's kitchen. And nobody matches your level of compassion with Sigil's downtrodden. And notably, a lot of Sigil's downtrodden, the lower echelons of society, are so cynical in their day-to-day life because they're just beaten down by the powers that be over and over. They just take for granted that their lot in life is terrible and can never improve. But in you, because you show them the same compassion that you would show to any living person, you inspire in them the desire to be better than they are. And stories begin to circulate that the people who go to Father Mondo's kitchen over those, for example, sponsored by the Bleak Cabal, just eating in that kitchen and being near the kind soul that is known as Elsie Clone is enough to lift your spirits and lift yourself up out of the gutter that you find yourself in. Riot, your dream is about burping nonstop for 48 hours. You too have a dream of your ideal self. You have a dream where you continue your life as an adventurer, these prosperous missions out into the plains, and every time you return to Sigil, you come back with a bag of golds. And instead of turning it over to your faction to advance their anarchist plot, you invest it in the infrastructure of Sigil. You invest it in the people. You help them directly rather than try to damage the system that you believe is keeping them down. You decide to aid the people directly by embodying this virtue of charity in yourself. And you see this ideal version of yourself, and you are very contented with it. And the three of you are woken by these beautiful dreams to battered and broken bodies as Serenity and Mahogany are pulling you up out of the snow. And this swarm now of a dozen or more lantern archons circles above your head. So you've gone down and found your companions and Yulana. All of you have 1 hit point.
Okay.
Riot, Ciclon, and Kelian, you have 1 level of exhaustion. Serenity and Mahogany, you have 2 levels. Ciclon.
Say, okay, in gear?
Is a kobold.
Ciclon, Riot, and Kelian. You all gain a bond. You can either take this in addition to your current bond, or you can replace your current bond with it at your discretion. The bond is, I have been granted a second chance at life, so I may better embody the virtue of, and then fill in your virtue there. So for Ciclon, it's compassion. For Riot, it's charity. And for Kelian, it's humility.
Can you say that one more time, please?
I have been granted a second chance at life so that I may better embody the virtue of whatever.
So for Kelian to be the virtue of humility. Which means I now have a blank check to humiliate Kelian as much as I want.
If he takes it. He's died like 4 times already. Come on now.
And there's no doubt that these Lantern Archons have saved your lives. There was no surviving the avalanche, unless you used climbing gear and made the saving throw. I guess.
Or if you had 80 or 43 hit points rather than 37.
Right.